This is a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it.
Another Superboy and basketball montages featuring Sum 41 on this episode of Smallville Freaks.
Whatever it is, I can handle it.
You're the one always telling me I need to find my destiny. Well, one thing's for certain, it's not here in Kansas. You saved my life.
He's a rather extraordinary young man. Don't you think?
Hello and welcome to Smallville Freaks, a podcast 15 years too late. I'm Mike Pelly.
And I'm Jason Lamb.
And we're discussing episode 12 of season 1, Smallville, called Leech. Now, Leech, you know, I feel like we got a trend going on here with titles of Smallville where the titles are kind of not really related to the episodes.
Well, I guess
this
in a
one
way,
was more so than Hug.
Well, in this way, it is about a guy who steals his power. I mean, like essentially leeching his power. So maybe, but he's not like an actual leech. He doesn't just go up and just take his power.
No, you'd see the title and you'd think that there's leeches.
You'd think there's leeches.
Yeah, I'd think there's leeches, son. But there are not. There are no leeches. Instead, there are rocks in the episode. It kind of starts out with there's a school field trip going and looking for rocks.
Yes.
It's like a science project or something. So the science class is out looking for one particular kind of rock, which I missed, but the other one was meteor rocks. The special guest of this episode is Shawn Ashmore from X-Men.
Yeah, we just have to get that out in the open.
Yeah, we
now.
just got it. Because it was very confusing to us because we've seen the entire series of Smallville, and there is a recurring character
of Jimmy Olsen
named Jimmy Olsen, who is a pretty big character in comic book lore, played by his twin brother.
Yeah,
and so it was
identical twins.
Yeah, we were like, wait a second, are they using the same actor for this like side story in the earlier seasons? It's just pretty funny.
Similar thing, I guess, happened in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where
reused
the actor who plays
actors?
Xander has a twin brother who plays his doppelganger, who almost looks nothing like him, though.
It's interesting when shows do that. They think you're not going to catch it.
Yeah.
But, it's easy to catch sometimes. So these rocks, what happens is Eric is the name of the character that Shawn Ashmore is playing, and he kind of steals or leeches Clark's powers. I hate that word. Why would they choose leech?
Yeah.
It's so stupid. From a strike of lightning. So it's the entire episode is basically this other guy steals Clark's powers, and of course Clark has those moments where he's like, this is kind of tight.
Yeah.
It's kind of sweet being normal.
And other times is like his body is just wrecked, like he's plowing the field or something all day, and he asks his dad, like, how do you have the strength to do this every day? And he gets,
you haven't had the luxury of working out or anything,
actually
sir.
working at anything your whole life.
You just had that. Which I always wonder is like, why is Clark so ripped? Because if he has superhuman abilities, he can't like, I guess he would have to lift tractors every day or something.
He's just a sun bro. He gets all of his strength from the sun.
Just lets him have that bod.
The more he just waters some plants in a field, the more buff he gets. As long as he's shirtless.
There's a part where after he lost his powers and he has a talk with his parents about it, and they're really worried about him at first, but he's like, no, it's actually kind of cool. Like, I'm super sore right now, but like, it's way better. It's way better than kryptonite.
Yikes.
So the dude from the Inquisitor is back. He was in an episode before. I don't remember exactly which one, but he's the one that Lex bickers with all the time, and Lex has him go and do like some investigating for him.
Well, yeah, because Roger Nixon tried to blackmail him. And so he's like, nah, You work for me now.
Is that his name, Nixon?
Yeah,
okay.
Raj.
So Nixon plays a pivotal role leading up to the finale of the season, which I remember. So I am now paying closer attention to what he's doing because I never cared before when I first watched this because he's just a boring whatever tabloid writer.
Right.
But he actually ends up really fucking shit up in the show as time goes by. But okay, let's talk about this real quick. Lex fucking knows that Clark has superhuman abilities.
Yeah, how could he not? He's run through like all of the calculations. It's got to be.
But it hasn't been like super clear until now.
Yeah.
That because it's always the way they've presented it in the show is it's like Lex is playing with that idea and he's obsessed with the accident from the pilot, but it doesn't really actually show him like we actually have to catch him in the act. Which is what he's having Nixon do.
Yeah. Well, at least he wasn't like that one guy that like threw a engine on top of him.
Oh my God. That was like ruthless.
Yeah.
What if he didn't have powers? It would have just killed a teenager.
That wasn't the same guy, right?
No, it was a different guy. That's why these characters that Lex has like on the side in the background and stuff are so boring.
Right.
Because they all are just kind of the same. And it's pretty whatever. But there is like 5 mainstream pop songs throughout this episode, which are really prominent. Like they had U2, they had Bush, they had Sum 41.
Oh, was that band Sum 41? I didn't hear that. For some reason, this is like the first episode that was really heavy with it.
So the bands that they had on the show for the first couple seasons, like these mainstream bands, are all on the WB label.
Right. Yeah. Or like some sort of offshoot of it, like, Interscope or something like that.
Exactly. So WB already had the rights to use all this shit.
Yeah.
So they just decided to throw it in the show. And I think because this came out in 2001, it kind of at that time helped it a bit to get like kids' attention. Because this is the shit that kids were listening to.
Yeah. And at some point, I think that bands were like offering their music. Oh, that Smallville show. Like, can you like, maybe my manager could try to get me on that. Yeah.
Sure.
Totally.
But that basketball Sum 41 was so excessive. I can't get over that.
But it's great. It's such a snapshot of that time,
It really is. It captures I wouldn't say a very good time in history, but
So Roger shows up with a computer simulation, right, of the crash.
Which we've seen before, actually.
I think we've seen that before. Great work, Raj.
Oh God. These two. Like that part of the episode doesn't have very much prominence. It's kind of like setting up for the rest of the season, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about is this is the Talon now is really about to become the Talon. It actually showed the name of the theater.
Yeah, and I think somewhere towards the end of the season is how like Lex is like, well, I'll help you buy it, Lana.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll fork you the cash to make this thing happen. But yeah, Lana decides that her next endeavor is buying that theater and doing something with it. Right, I don't think it was even mentioned that it's going to be a coffee shop.
Because her aunt Nan is selling the flower shop.
Yeah.
That is inside of a Talon, which is like really weird. Like I would love to see the origin of how she scored that deal.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Because it's like, okay, like you're a flower shop. You can't make that much money.
No.
How can you afford to rent an entire theater's worth of building for your flower shop?
She was killing it.
She's just killing it, man.
She's just killing that.
People in Smallville gotta be buying flowers.
The Talon is, of course, the coffee shop, the hangout spot, the restaurant of Seinfeld, the cafe at Friends.
The bronze of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's a heavy set piece moving forward, so I thought I would mention that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to talk about is the Superboy character, Eric, who leached the powers from Clark.
Right.
He decides he's gonna be wearing like a fire red shirt with like, what are those things called?
It wasn't like a puka shell necklace, but it was like a puka shell necklace
it was a metal
made
version
of metal.
Of one.
Yeah.
and a duster.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to bring this up because in season 9 of Smallville, Clark's costume of choice is a duster.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it's so interesting that this guy for like 24 hours has Clark's powers. He goes straight to the duster.
What? I don't understand why in movies and TV series they thought that like long coats were cool.
Well, you know what? That Matrix movie did come out before this, and I
It's
think
true,
that
like 2 years before this, so maybe that was still a thing.
Well, that was like 90. Well,
99.
maybe 98, but this is 2001. So Matrix showed that you could pull it off. Keanu, by the way, can wear anything and make it look cool, so it doesn't mean that it should become a trend.
Off on a tangent.
So that's about what I got for the overview. You got anything else?
I'd like to talk about how Lex stages a hostile takeover.
It actually kind of ties up the whole thing with Alexa that's been staying with him
Right.
these past few episodes, and her dad and all that.
So Alexa's been feeding her dad information about Cadmus Labs, which we'll get to in the
Yes.
Geek Lore section. But basically, he decides to buy it out from under him, which supposedly leaves LexCorp in a vulnerable position where
Sure.
he could have like a hostile takeover,
Yeah.
right? So he was definitely playing her, and it seemed really obvious. And this is like the payoff because he knew that she was feeding him information.
Right.
He used that to his advantage. He made Cadmus worthless, which means like Sir Harry Hardwick spent all of his money, and
Yeah.
that left his company open for a hostile takeover, which Lex was doing this whole time to prove his father wrong, that he knew exactly what he was doing. But then his father was playing him, which almost leads right into the drama segment, I think.
I think that's a perfect segue, sir.
Because his father ends up with Victoria as well.
Yeah, there's like hot, steamy photos
Yeah.
of Lionel
Raj.
and his greasy hair with this woman that his son has been hooking up with. This is just...
I got the scoop, son.
I've got the ultimate scoop. Look at me. Let's move on to the drama segment.
Oh, wow. This might be a long one.
Trust me, you don't want to know me the way you think you do.
Clark, that's my decision to make.
Okay, so Lex just clearly knows Clark is lying, right?
Yeah.
And he makes an attempt to go over to him and be like, Clark, just tell me what happened that day. Like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
There's something about you.
He's like you're the closest thing to a real
Yeah.
friend I've ever had, kind of thing.
And Clark lies about 8 times in this scene.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even mark any of that. So
Oh,
we'll have
you
to compare
should.
notes
You
in
should.
a second.
I have 3.
Okay.
Like, there's 3 times where he just countered it with, I don't know what you're talking about.
I believe you.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go this is the beginning of the Lex and Clark drama. Like, we know that seasons worth of their relationship is shit.
Yeah.
And
It
this
starts to deteriorate.
I didn't realize it happened this early in the show. We're episode 12 of season 1, and this is like their first kind of fight.
Right. And there's
And-
always that nagging question, I think, in like the fandom's mind
Yeah.
of what would have happened if Clark just told him the truth. Would Lex have become the Lex we all know from the comic books?
No, he would probably just become a friend that knows a secret and would respect it.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I don't know. Like, in a way, Clark made Lex Luthor in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But there's also this other thing with Clark is jealous of Eric. Eric is now, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about secret identity. He's just like, I have powers, deal with it.
Yeah, he's a little bit butthurt that Eric has his powers
And
because he's not special anymore.
Yeah, and at first everybody's swooning over him.
Yeah.
And Clark is just like, ugh, I had those powers first.
And nobody gave a shit.
Nobody gave a fuck. No, it's because he obviously was doing what his parents said, keep it a secret. But it shows in this episode why you want to keep it a secret, because Eric's asshole dad is like, I'm going to immediately start having experiments on you and all that. And then he turns it evil. And then last thing I got, Clark goes for Lana big time without his powers, because she normally wears that kryptonite necklace, and now he can get close to her
Yeah.
and kiss her, even though she has a goddamn boyfriend.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense that they keep acting like Whitney doesn't exist when he's clearly an issue. Or not. Actually, no, it seems like he's a non-issue. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah. Clark goes really hard. I just want to talk about that a little bit more. And then he kisses her on the cheek. And I think it's the first time he's ever really placed his lips on her, because there's a time where they almost made out.
This is the first time where they connect, but it's funny that Chloe got to those lips before Lana did.
Yeah. And at the end of the episode, Lana's like, well, I got to go meet my boyfriend. Sorry, Clark.
Yeah, remember him?
So in previous episodes, Clark was always making the decision well, I'm going to do the right thing. And, she's going to be with Whitney.
Yeah.
And now she did the thing where she made the right decision, because before she was always the one that was like, hey, want to hang out or something?
Can we go to your barn and watch Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes. Oh, I hope that's not code.
Well, clearly it's not code for anything, because nothing happened in that little fake drive-in they made. I cannot believe that scene.
Oh my God.
That is just I can't get over it. All right, drinking game.
Drinking game.
Party can officially begin. The Luthors are here.
All right, so I have a total of 15. Maybe you could do shots. I don't know. Maybe you're 7 feet tall and have the constitution of a very large cave troll or something.
Yeah,
But-
I have that.
All right. Well, this episode we're going to say you're getting fucked up.
All right.
So you're doing shots. We have one hospital scene.
Which, by the way, is the first official hospital set. This is the first time where it's, because we saw a hospital before,
Right.
but the walls weren't crazy pink and
the
purple.
Yeah.
So this was the first time where it actually showed the set that they built that we get to see forever in the show.
That is worth noting,
Yes.
for sure.
I'm just going to add that in there because we didn't talk about it earlier.
So we have that, and that's Clark gets the shit kicked out of him, right? And he gets his rib broken or something.
Yep.
Someone says son or father. I say 3, maybe 4. I might have missed one.
I had 2, but so it's probably 3.
Okay, so that's 4. Glass shattering. We've got at least 4 times.
Yeah, I've got 4 as well.
Foreshadowing twice, because he talks about flying was one of the times, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one?
The other one was
Luthor cocktails. We've got at least one of those.
Yep.
Which we might as well even have Lex Luthor brooding as a shot, because he does it a lot.
Because now it's his cocktails are paired with a brood.
Yeah. Clark lies. How many did you have?
I had 3 from that scene.
Okay.
But I think I might have missed a couple.
Lana brings up parents. That was one time.
It was immediately the first thing she did when she was talking about the movie theater.
My parents. This is where my parents
She was talking
met.
about some shit that she was in heavy detail about some stuff that her parents did at the movie theater, and they died when she was 8. I don't know, maybe her aunt told her these stories, but she says it firsthand. This is what happened. My mom was in the lobby, just didn't want to watch the movie, didn't like it. It's these weird details you wouldn't remember if you're 8.
Yeah.
Or early or younger.
And also, did her mom just tell her aunt, or did she tell her growing
Yeah,
up?
her aunt
And
wasn't
that time,
there.
me and your father made out real hard in the movie theater.
I just don't get it. She's just so obsessed with her parents. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so someone says abilities. That did happen once, and that
Yes.
might be the first
I
time
think
we've
that
seen
was
that.
a debut.
Yeah,
I think that was a debut.
abilities debut.
Mhm. Abilities is a big one moving forward. Get ready for that one.
Clark shows up out of nowhere. I believe that was one time, and even Lana comments on where did you come from, Clark?
where yeah, he just pops into the Talon when it's not even the Talon yet. It's not even a hangout spot yet. Why would he even know to go there?
I feel really bad for Kristen Craig because of the voice that I have for her, but
Kristen, we love you. Moving on to the geek lore.
Geek lore.
This is Smallville. Meteor freaks, alien ships, cryptic symbols. Someone has to protect the world.
In this episode, it's the first time we ever hear somebody say Superboy.
Yes.
Which we find out that Chloe coins in the Talon.
It was a very Lois Lane move to coin that name.
Right. From Eric. So Chloe's basically the proto Lois, which we actually do find out because Lois is her cousin and inspires you to get into journalism and all this stuff. So you can sort of see that.
Can I say how upsetting it is that Superboy finally, the word gets used and it's not even for Clark? It's
Yeah.
like some guy that stole Clark's powers.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
That's a bummer. I mean, and this guy even got to the long leather coat first.
Yeah, he got to all those stages. That's kind of weird in retrospect if you think about it. Like, we've seen it all seasons. It's like, this guy really did get on top of everything quicker, way faster than Clark did in like a day.
He mastered his shit so fast. Lex's purple tie, because in so many iterations of Lex,
he wears purple.
His armor's purple, his suits are purple. Like, it's just like what you associate that character with. It's like a bald head and a purple suit.
Yeah, anytime Lex is wearing something purple, it just really stands out, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But only to us. The Crew Spotlight.
Crew Spotlight.
I'm to help create the look of the show, to tell the story visually.
So, of course, we've got to talk about Shawn Ashmore.
We've got to talk about the Shawn Ash.
A.K.A. Iceman, a.k.a. the twin brother of the actor who eventually plays Jimmy Olsen in Smallville.
Yeah. It was probably something like Aaron went to Shawn and was like, I don't got really very much work right now. And then Shawn was just like, all right, well, I did that Smallville show. It was pretty tight. You should go be a recurring role on it.
And nobody will notice that we
That's how
look
getting
the
roles
same.
works, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess even if it was the same actor, another Vancouver show, I know we always bring it up, but the X-Files had multiple actors play multiple characters throughout the course of that show. And many of the actors are on Smallville, but it's not out of the question, I guess maybe due to the limited pool of actors they have in Vancouver, that they would reuse the same ones. I couldn't tell the difference. If you put them side by side, I'd be like, oh yeah,
they're very identical.
It's Jimmy Olsen, of course.
And they like have the same haircuts and everything. It's the same. It's the same person.
So Shawn Ashmore, that's our Crew Spotlight, and that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked the episode.
Yeah.
It was far from having any leeches in it. But,
no leeches.
I liked the throwing in the word Superboy. The Talon is the origin of the Talon is here now, and we got a lot of fun stuff coming up with Lex and Clark's relationship. It's gonna get pretty crazy. Thanks for tuning in, Jason. Where can people find you on the internet?
Twitter, Jason_Lamb, and Instagram, JTL_hell. Hell.
And you can find me on all the social media platforms at Mike Pelly with a Y. Thanks for listening. Check us out next week, episode 12. I don't know what it's called, but it probably won't have anything to do with the episode.
Catch you later, dude.
This has been a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/HardToFindMediaNetwork. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it. Fuck it.